The $700 car payment is the single biggest reason the guy at your job with the same salary as you has 10 times your net worth. He's driving a 10-year-old Honda. You're driving a lease. And in 5 years, he's going to retire early. And you're going to still be making a payment on a car that's worth less than what you owe on it. That's not a coincidence. That's a system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Right now, the U.S. personal savings rate is sitting around 4%, down from the 31.8% spike during the pandemic, when nobody could spend money even if they wanted to. 4%. That means the average person is keeping 4 cents of every dollar they make. Everything else is gone. Rent, car, phone, subscriptions, dinner out. The thing that looked good on Instagram. Here's the part that should bother you. Income has nothing to do with it. I've watched guys making $180,000 a year with less in savings than a teacher making $52,000. The teacher isn't smarter. She's just not playing the game everyone else got tricked into playing. That game has a name now. Financial planners are calling it loud budgeting versus quiet wealth. And the gap between the two is where most people's future retirement is quietly disappearing. Loud is easy to spot once you know what you're looking at. Loud is the SUV lease with the $700 a month payment nobody talks about out loud. Loud is the treat yourself dinner that costs more than a week of groceries. Loud is buying the version of wealth you can photograph instead of the version that actually compounds. And loud isn't stupid, it's designed. Every ad you scroll past is built to make looking like you've made it feel like the finish line. Nobody's selling you boring index fund with a 7% average return. They're selling you the car, the bag, the trip. The car company doesn't care that a $700 monthly payment over 6 years is $5,400. Money that, invested instead, would be worth over $90,000 in 10 years at market average returns. They just need you to say yes at the dealership. Quiet works the opposite direction, and it's not deprivation. I want to be clear about that because people hear frugal and think miserable. It isn't. The people doing this well aren't skipping joy. They're being specific about where the joy comes from. A financial planner I came across put it simply: the richest person in the room is often the one with the oldest phone, the most modest car, and the largest, most boring index fund. That's not a metaphor. That's a literal description of most self-made millionaires' actual lifestyle. Here's a stat that should actually change how you think about this. Northwestern Mutual surveyed wealthy individuals and the general public and asked a simple question: do you consider yourself a disciplined financial planner? 76% of wealthy people said yes. Only 49% of everyone else did. That's not a 76% versus 49% gap in income. It's a gap in behavior. The wealthy aren't wealthy because they got lucky with a paycheck. Most of them didn't. They're wealthy because they treat their money with the same seriousness they'd treat a job they could get fired from. You don't show up late to a job you need. Most people show up late constantly to the job of managing their own money. And that's the trap hiding inside loud. It's not just that loud spending costs money. It's that loud spending trains you to treat your finances as decoration instead of infrastructure. You can't build a house by decorating the outside first. Let me get specific, because vague advice is where most people check out. First, the car. If you're financing a vehicle above $35,000 on an income under 6 figures, you are the target market for the loud trap, not the winner of it. A reliable used car, paid off, driven for 8 to 10 years, isn't a downgrade. It's the single highest leverage money move available to almost anyone because it's recurring. You don't do it once. You do it every month for a decade. Second, the treat math swap. This one's underrated. Instead of the $100 dinner out because you deserve it, you get a $7 loaf of good bread from a real bakery. Same feeling, a small specific pleasure at 7% of the cost. This isn't about denying yourself anything. It's about noticing that most treats are actually status purchases wearing a treat costume. Third, automate before you see it. Every dollar that automatically leaves your checking account before you can make a decision about it is a dollar that can't be lost to a decision you'd regret. Set the transfer for the day your paycheck lands, not the day after rent, not whatever's left. Fourth, go boring on investments. Not because boring is safe from all risk, nothing is, but because boring is where compounding actually has room to work. A total market index fund won't get you a story to tell at a dinner party. It will get you a number that keeps growing while you're not looking at it. Fifth, stop narrating your finances to people who don't need to know them. This one's harder than it sounds, because our culture rewards financial narration. "I'm so broke right now" is a sentence people say the way they say, "I'm starving." As a bit, not a fact. Every time you narrate poverty or narrate spending, you're reinforcing the loud identity, even when the numbers say otherwise. Here's what nobody tells you about this shift. It's uncomfortable before it's rewarding. The first 6 months of driving the paid-off car while your friend leases the new one, you'll feel behind. You're not. You're early. The math doesn't care about the 6 months where it feels slow. It cares about the 10 years where it compounds. And the people who quit this before it pays off aren't quitting because the math failed. They're quitting because nobody around them can see what they're building. And silence feels like losing. It isn't. Quiet wealth is called quiet for a reason. It doesn't announce itself until it's already won. If you take one thing from this, audit your loud expense this week, not your whole budget. Just the one thing you're paying monthly to look a certain way. Write down what it actually costs over 5 years. Then decide, with that number in front of you, if it's worth it. If this made you rethink one thing you're spending on, subscribe. I break down one of these a week, no fluff, just the actual math behind the decisions that separate people who build wealth from people who just look like they have.